Mike Shoesmith is my next guest. Mike Shoesmith is an author, a syndicated blogger, and the executive director of the ppsimmons mega viral news and ministry sites. And Mike Shoesmith has been with me since the inception of Freedom Friday years ago. He's a great friend and a wonderful, wonderful talk radio show commentator. And I've got Mike on today. He's my Canadian correspondent. He hails out of Toronto, Canada. Mike, thank you for being with us.
Hey, listen, I just, that was an amazing interview with Mr. Hovind there.
I just,
actually today I went to GenesisMovie.com and watched the trailer for that. And if you guys haven't seen that,
it's amazing.
That is some outstanding stuff there.
Yeah. Do you know, Mike, I've known Eric since he was a young man. I mean, I'm going to say a little boy, but he wasn't little. I think he was 11 or 12 or 13, something like that. He's a grown man now, precious wife, beautiful children, head of a ministry, just loves God with all of his heart, loves the Lord, using all of his talents and gifts. He's just an unbelievable speaker, preacher, teacher, radio commentator, and now, making this movie. I mean, he's hooked up with Paul Taylor, a world-renowned apologist and Creation Today TV. I mean, this young man, man, God is using him.
Yeah, well, listen, people would be forgiven then to when they hear what I'm about to talk about, people would be forgiven for thinking that I know Eric personally and I'm sharing my notes with him, but actually I don't know him, and I don't share anything with him. But people will be forgiven for thinking that when they hear my topic, because now new data from compensation research firm PayScale reveals which majors are most rewarding. Majors is your line of study in college and university.
Right.
They call that a major.
Right.
And now they've discovered which majors are most rewarding, as well as the ones that are most disappointing. And the majors that lead to satisfying and lucrative careers aren't surprising, they say. 12 of the 20 majors that lead to the most highly paid jobs are engineering specialties. More on that in a moment, while most of the rest involve math and science. So engineering, math, and science, the most lucrative and the most rewarding.
Right.
And most majors associated with high pay score above the median when people are asked whether they recommend their major to others.
Yeah.
And we have a list here of those, and there is another list, and it's a list of professions that are least likely to be recommended by those who have chosen them. And you and I have talked about this before. I think they come out with this list every year. And this is the brand new one this week, or this year, and it just came out this week. And it's the usual suspects are there in the percentage who would least recommend their major to others. It's almost the same every year. It's almost like they copy and paste them every year. But, and the same ones are there. And art features prominently, of course. And those are the professions that rely heavily on welfare subsidies, like art, and they're generally viewed as parasitic. Really, I mean, honestly, I'm sorry, artists. It's not that we don't appreciate your skill. It's simply that we resent having to pay for people to live off of what some would call a hobby, or a personal passion, which every society should enjoy, but no society should be forced to subsidize financially.
Right.
I'm sorry, man, but I love art. I do.
Me too.
My son and I went to an art gallery recently, but you know what? A lot of that stuff, we should not have to pay for that.
No, I agree, and it's not surprising, that list, because. Well, I don't want to steal your thunder, because I've read your article, and I agree with it totally. So tell us why you think the engineering degrees, for example, and those are not all of those that are the most rewarding and most filling and the highest paying, but they are at the top. Why are they the more fulfilling and the highest paying engineering type degrees? And why are the anthropology and the evolution sciences, why are those at the low end of the totem pole, not only in pay, but also in job satisfaction? Tell us why.
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned anthropology, because that's the one I wanted to point people's attention to.
Yeah. And
because what is anthropology? Well, the partial definition from Wikipedia is anthropology is the discipline where humanities, social, and natural sciences are forced to confront one another. Anthropology, it says, builds on knowledge from natural sciences, including discoveries about the origin and evolution of Homo sapiens, that's what they call people, human traits, et cetera, and how the evolutionary path of Homo sapiens has influenced its social. So anyway, Wikipedia says that anthropology is essentially the study of the evolution of humanity, right?
Right.
The physical evolution of humanity and how it relates to human behavior, et cetera. And then the dictionary, because Wikipedia is not really a dictionary, so the dictionary defines anthropology as the science that deals with the origins, physical and cultural development, biological characteristics, and origins, it says, and social customs and beliefs of humankind, the study of human beings' similarity to and divergence from other animals. That's just fancy talk for deep-time fish-to-men evolution.
Right.
So anthropology is the study of deep-time fish-to-men evolution. It's a pseudoscience.
Absolutely, a fake science. There's nothing scientific about deep-time evolution. There are some scientific statements that can be made about microevolution and the changes within species. I mean, that's all very scientific and biblical, by the way.
Right, and this pseudoscience of anthropology is on the list of majors, the list of chosen professions which are least rewarding and give the person the least amount of remuneration.
Well, that explains some things to me, Mike. That explains why evolutionists and atheists are so angry all the time.
So miserable.
They're so miserable. They're so angry. You cannot have just a laughing, fun conversation with an evolutionist about this. They cuss, they rant, they rave, they spit, they scream, they holler. Now I know why. Because they're not making any money, and they're not able to pay their bills.
Yeah, and when we observe the categories which people find most satisfying, both in personal reward and financial remuneration, we see a very different picture here, Carl.
Yep.
And I have the list here. And if you go to my blog, ppsimmons.blogspot.com, you'll see the article there with the actual list, and you'll notice that the word engineering comes up quite often.
Yeah.
And as we have often said here at PP Simmons, there's no useful scientific discipline which requires the belief that people are animals which evolved from fish. Again, there's a definition from the dictionary for engineering. It's the art or science of making practical application of the knowledge of pure sciences as physics or chemistry, as in the construction of engines, bridges, buildings, mines, ships, and chemical plants. Now, what is that saying? Practical application?
Right.
Construction of engines. Now, remember that word, construction of engines, bridges, buildings, all the useful stuff that we have around us.
And
that's useful.
Yeah,
and absolutely none of that requires the belief in deep-time evolution.
That's right.
In other words, all of the useful, rewarding, satisfying, and most demanded areas of study can all be done without believing in evolution.
Absolutely.
And these numbers confirm it. Practical engineering is, at its most basic level, creation science.
Yes.
I suppose, that's why it all also happens to be the most satisfying, because having been created in the image and likeness of God, who is the ultimate creation scientist, and father of all useful engineering disciplines, we are only most happy and most satisfied when we are acting in line with the intended design of the master engineer.
Very, very well said.